Have you ever felt like your dream was slipping through your fingers? Like no matter how hard you prayed, how faithfully you lived, or how tirelessly you worked, every step forward was followed by two steps back? If you've ever wondered whether God still sees you in the middle of your struggle, then today's story is for you. Because sometimes God's greatest blessings don't arrive on the path we planned. They arrive on the path we almost gave up walking. This is the story of Jordan Carter. Jordan was only 6 years old when he first fell in love with football. His mother laughed the first time she saw him sleeping with a worn-out football tucked under one arm like it was a teddy bear. Every birthday, every Christmas, every reward for good grades somehow involved football. Jerseys decorated his bedroom walls. Posters of quarterbacks and running backs covered every empty space. If Jordan wasn't in school, he was outside throwing passes, running plays, or pretending thousands of fans were cheering his name. His dream never changed. "I want to play professional football," he would say almost daily. Most children traded childhood dreams for more practical ambitions. Not Jordan. Every morning before sunrise, while most teenagers were still asleep, Jordan was already running wind sprints through the neighborhood. His mother would stand on the front porch with a cup of coffee, watching him disappear into the darkness. "Lord," she would whisper, "protect my son and help him remember that his greatest victory won't happen on a football field." Jordan's father had walked out when he was 8 years old. From that day forward, it was just the two of them. His mother worked long hours at the local hospital as a nursing assistant. Some nights she came home so exhausted she could barely keep her eyes open. Yet somehow she still found the strength to help Jordan with homework, cook dinner, and kneel beside him before bed for prayer. She never let him leave the house without saying the same words. "Remember who you belong to. Not which team, not which coach, not which scouts, but God." Those words became part of Jordan's identity. Inside his high school locker, taped just above his shoulder pads, was a handwritten note with one Bible verse. "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me." Every time he suited up, he read it. Not because he believed God guaranteed victories, but because he believed God never abandoned his children. By his senior year, Jordan had become one of the most exciting athletes in the state. He was lightning fast, strong, disciplined. Coaches admired his work ethic just as much as his talent. College recruiters packed the stadium every Friday night. Some traveled hundreds of miles just to watch him play. Sports reporters called him the future. His classmates believed professional football was only a matter of time. Scholarship letters arrived almost daily. Some came from schools Jordan had dreamed about since childhood. His future seemed written. Until one Friday night changed everything. The stadium lights illuminated the field as thousands of fans filled the stands for the state semifinal game. Jordan's team was trailing by 4 points late in the fourth quarter. One final drive, one final opportunity. The quarterback handed Jordan the football. He burst through the line, 30 yards, 20, 10. One defender remained. Jordan planted his left foot to cut toward the end zone. Then, pop. A sound no athlete ever wants to hear. His knee buckled beneath him. Pain exploded through his leg. The stadium fell silent. Jordan collapsed onto the grass, clutching his knee while tears streamed down his face. He already knew. This wasn't a cramp. This wasn't a bruise. Something was terribly wrong. His mother watched from the stands, frozen in disbelief. She couldn't hear anything anymore. The cheers, the announcer, the whistles. Everything disappeared except the sight of her son lying on the field. Within minutes, trainers surrounded him. His teammates knelt nearby, many fighting back tears. The game's outcome no longer mattered. The dream everyone had celebrated only moments earlier suddenly seemed to be slipping away. The MRI confirmed everyone's fears. A torn ACL, season over, surgery, months of rehabilitation, possibly longer. The phone that had once rung constantly with recruiters and scholarship offers became strangely quiet. Some coaches stopped calling altogether. Others politely explained they wanted to wait and see how his recovery progressed. Jordan smiled during those conversations, but after hanging up, he cried. Late one evening, he sat alone in his bedroom staring at the football resting on his dresser. For the first time in years, he didn't know what to pray. He whispered only 4 words. My God, why now? Hadn't he worked hard? Hadn't he stayed out of trouble? Hadn't he honored God every chance he had? Why now? Why when everything was finally coming together? His mother quietly knocked on the bedroom door. She didn't bring answers. She brought her Bible. She sat beside him and turned to a familiar passage. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. She closed the Bible and looked into her son's tear-filled eyes. Jordan, she said softly, God never promised us a life without pain. She gently placed her hand over his, but he did promise that pain would never have the final word. Jordan nodded, though deep inside, he wasn't sure he believed it yet. The road ahead suddenly looked longer than he had ever imagined. His dream was no longer about scoring touchdowns. Now it was simply about learning how to walk again. And he had no idea that the hardest battles of his life was ahead of him. The surgery went well. The torn ACL was repaired. 3 months of recovery, 4 months of physical therapy, and endless painful stretching sessions were completed. Jordan eventually learned to walk without crutches. Then he learned to jog, then to run. Every painful step reminded him that healing wasn't measured by days. It was measured by determination. 9 long months after surgery, he finally stepped back onto a football field. He wasn't as fast as he had once been. Not yet. His confidence had taken just as much damage as his knee, but he refused to quit. The scholarship offers had dwindled, yet one Division I university never stopped believing in him. Coach Marcus Reynolds had watched Jordan long before the injury. He wasn't just impressed by Jordan's speed. He admired his discipline. When Jordan arrived on campus for his freshman year, Coach Reynolds pulled him aside. Son, he said, there will always be faster players. There will always be stronger players. But coaches can teach football. They can't teach character. Jordan carried those words with him every day. College football was unlike anything he had imagined. Practices started before sunrise. Weightlifting sessions pushed every muscle in his body beyond exhaustion. Film study lasted late into the evening. Then there were classes, assignments, exams, study groups. The pressure never stopped. For the first time in his life, Jordan realized that talent alone wasn't enough. Everyone on the roster had been the best player on their high school team. Now he was just another freshman fighting for playing time. Meanwhile, his mother continued working double shifts back home. She refused to tell Jordan how difficult things had become, but mothers have a hard time hiding worry from their children. During one phone call, Jordan noticed how tired her voice sounded. You okay, Mom? I'm fine, baby. You don't sound fine. She hesitated. I'm just working a little extra. Jordan knew what that meant. Bills, rent, groceries. She was sacrificing again so he could chase his dream. That realization weighed heavily on him. Instead of spending weekends relaxing with teammates, Jordan found a part-time job stocking shelves at a grocery store. He worked until midnight, studied until 2 in the morning, then woke up before dawn for workouts. Sleep became a luxury. Exhaustion became normal. Still, he never complained. One evening after practice, several teammates invited him to a party. Come on, Carter, one of them laughed. You've got to live a little. Jordan smiled politely. I've got an exam tomorrow. Another teammate rolled his eyes. It's always something with you. Football. church, studying. You act like you're perfect. Jordan wasn't perfect, not even close, but he understood something they didn't. Every decision either moved him closer to his dream or farther away from it. The invitations continued. Then came something more dangerous. One teammate offered him pills. They'll help you recover faster. Another suggested skipping mandatory study hall. No one checks. Another encouraged him to cheat on an online exam. Everybody does it. Jordan felt the pressure building from every direction. It would have been so easy to compromise. Nobody would know, except him and God. Late one night, he opened the Bible his mother had given him before leaving for college. Inside the front cover, she'd written a note. Character is who you are when no one is watching. Jordan closed the Bible. He quietly prayed, Lord, help me choose your way, even when it's the harder way. Sophomore year finally arrived. Jordan earned more playing time. His speed returned. His confidence grew. For a brief moment, life felt hopeful again. Then the phone rang. His mother had collapsed at work. Doctors discovered she had a serious heart condition. Jordan rushed home. Seeing his mother lying in that hospital bed shook him in a way no football injury ever had. The woman who had always been strong, always smiling, always encouraging him, suddenly looked fragile. She reached for his hand. You belong back at school. I'm staying, he said. No, I'm staying. She squeezed his hand. If God gave you this opportunity, don't throw it away because you're worried about me. Jordan returned to campus, but emotionally, he never really came back. His focus disappeared. He missed assignments. His grades slipped. His professors warned him. His position coach noticed his lack of energy. One afternoon, Coach Reynolds called him into his office. What's going on? Nothing. Coach leaned forward. Don't lie to me. Jordan finally broke. Everything came pouring out. His mother's illness, the financial problems, the fear, the guilt, the uncertainty. Coach Reynolds listened without interrupting. Finally, he spoke. Son, football isn't your biggest battle anymore. Jordan nodded. I know. Coach stood and walked around his desk. You don't have to carry this alone. For the first time since arriving at college, Jordan allowed someone else to help him. Teammates organized fundraisers, professors gave him extra tutoring, church members sent meals to his mother. He realized something powerful. God often answers prayers through people. Just when life seemed to stabilize, disaster struck again. During preseason practice, before his junior year, Jordan leaped to catch a pass. As he came down, another player collided with him. Jordan landed awkwardly on his shoulder. Pain shot through his entire arm. He immediately knew something was wrong. Tests confirmed a torn labrum. Another surgery. Another season in doubt. Jordan sat alone in the training room after hearing the news. He stared at the floor. He couldn't even cry anymore. He simply felt empty. Later that afternoon, one assistant coach unknowingly spoke words that pierced Jordan's heart. Maybe football just isn't what God has planned for you. Those words echoed through his mind for weeks. Maybe they're right. Maybe this dream is over. Maybe all these years were for nothing. His prayers became shorter. Sometimes they disappeared altogether. He still attended church, still smiled at teammates, still encouraged others. But inside, he felt farther from God than ever before. One cold autumn evening, after another frustrating rehab session, Jordan wandered into the empty football stadium. The stands were silent. The lights were off. The field where he had once imagined glory now felt like a reminder of disappointment. He slowly walked to the 50-yard line. Then, for the first time in months, he dropped to his knees. He didn't know exactly what he was going to say. He only knew he couldn't keep carrying the weight alone. And in that quiet stadium, with no crowd, no coaches, and no teammates watching, everything was about to change. Jordan knelt alone on the 50-yard line. The stadium that once echoed with roaring crowds was now completely silent. No cheering fans, no teammates, no coaches, no cameras, just one young man and God. For several minutes, he couldn't find the words. His heart was heavy with years of disappointment, years of surgeries, years of uncertainty, years of wondering why every time he seemed to get close to his dream, something pulled him backward. Finally, he looked toward the dark sky and whispered through trembling tears, "Lord, I've been asking you to bless my plans, but tonight I surrender them. If football is over, I'll still serve you. If I never play another down, I'll still worship you. If my purpose is somewhere else, help me accept it." Then he paused. Tears rolled down his face. "But if this dream came from you, give me the strength to finish what you started." At that moment, nothing miraculous happened. There was no booming voice from heaven. No angel appeared. No sudden healing. But something changed. The fear that had consumed him for years was replaced by peace. Not because his circumstances had changed, because his heart had. For the first time since his injury, Jordan stopped playing football to prove himself. Now he played because he was grateful. There was a difference. The pressure disappeared. Every workout became an act of worship. Every practice became an opportunity to honor God. Every obstacle became another reminder that God had already carried him farther than he could have imagined. His teammates noticed. The angry, frustrated Jordan was gone. Instead, they saw someone encouraging younger players, helping teammates after practice, staying late to study film, showing up first, leaving last. One freshman finally asked him, "Man, how do you stay positive after everything you've been through?" Jordan smiled. "I stopped asking God to remove every mountain. I started asking him to help me climb it." Those words spread through the locker room. Even players who rarely talked about faith began asking Jordan to pray with them before games. Some asked him to pray for their families. Others asked him to pray for injuries. Without realizing it, Jordan was becoming something greater than an athlete. He was becoming a leader. Senior season finally arrived. No one expected much from him. Most sports analysts believed his injuries had permanently slowed him down. Professional scouts had almost forgotten his name. Jordan didn't care anymore. His identity wasn't tied to football. His identity was rooted in Christ. Ironically, that freedom allowed him to play the best football of his life. Game after game, he exceeded every expectation. He broke tackles that once would have stopped him. He outran defenders who were supposed to be faster. He made impossible catches. He inspired his teammates with relentless effort. Every touchdown ended the same way. Jordan pointed toward heaven, not because he believed God helped one team win over another, but because he never wanted to forget who had carried him through the darkest valleys. His team made the playoffs for the first time in years. Jordan was named team captain. Then, Conference Player of the Year, Academic All-American, Community Service Award winner. His mother never missed a game. Her health had steadily improved. Every Saturday, she sat in the stands wearing the same faded jersey she'd bought during his freshman year. She cried more than she cheered, not because of football, because she remembered the nights they wondered if he'd ever play again. Graduation day finally arrived. Jordan walked across the stage to receive his diploma. As he looked into the crowd, he found his mother. She was standing, clapping, crying. The little boy who once slept with a football in his arms had become a college graduate. That diploma meant just as much to her as any championship trophy ever could. Then came the waiting. The NFL draft arrived. Jordan gathered with family and friends. Round 1 passed. Nothing. Round 2. Nothing. Round 3. Still nothing. By the end of the draft, his name had never been called. Everyone tried to encourage him. Maybe next year. You'll get another opportunity. It wasn't meant to be. Jordan smiled. But inside, the disappointment returned. For a brief moment, the old questions resurfaced. Lord, was this all there was? The next morning, he woke up early like he always had. Instead of dwelling on disappointment, he opened his Bible. His eyes fell on one simple verse. Be still before the Lord and wait patiently for him. He closed the Bible. Okay, Lord, I'll wait. Later that afternoon, his phone rang. Unknown number. Jordan almost ignored it. Instead, he answered. Hello? A calm voice came through the receiver. May I speak with Jordan Carter? This is Jordan. Jordan. This is Coach Daniels with the Houston Stallions. We've been watching your film. We know about the injuries. We know about your perseverance. And we'd like to invite you to rookie minicamp. For several seconds, Jordan couldn't speak. His knees gave way beneath him. He slowly sank to the floor. Tears streamed down his face, not because he had made it, not yet, but because after everything, God had opened a door no one else could. His mother rushed into the room. Jordan, what's wrong? He looked at her with tears in his eyes. They called. They actually called. She immediately wrapped her arms around him. Together, mother and son knelt on the living room floor, not celebrating, praying. Thank you, Lord, not for football, but for faith, not for success, but for sustaining them through every setback, not for removing every obstacle, but for never leaving them to face those obstacles alone. You see, Jordan's greatest victory wasn't receiving an invitation to professional football. His greatest victory happened months earlier, on an empty football field, when he surrendered his dream completely to God, because that's where real success begins, not when life finally goes your way, but when you decide that God is enough, even if it never does. So if you're carrying a dream that feels delayed, if you've suffered setbacks that make no sense, if you've prayed prayers that seem to go unanswered, don't give up. Your injury may not look like Jordan's. Your battle may not happen on a football field. It may be in your marriage, your health, your finances, your family, or simply the quiet fight to keep believing when life doesn't make sense. But remember this, delays are not denials. God is often doing his greatest work while it feels like nothing is happening. Keep praying, keep trusting, keep showing up, keep believing, because the same God who carried Jordan through every disappointment is the same God who walks beside you today. And when the time is right, he has a way of opening doors that no one on earth can close. If this story encouraged you today, leave a comment below with the words, I'm trusting God's timing. Let's encourage one another in the comments. And if you know someone who's on the verge of giving up, share this story with them. It may be the reminder they need that God has not forgotten them. Until next time, remember, renew your mind, strengthen your faith, and trust God's perfect timing. God bless you.